show this to you guys to remind you that these are on CC Connected and they're awesome. This is Clay's binder, and he has this for every week. They're easy to print off, and they keep the kids on track, especially when I can't keep them on track as well as I should. So anyways, so this is week 14, and we're going to do the IEW part. So this week we're on lesson 17, and I already showed you the video of the schedule. So hopefully that was helpful. And as I mentioned in there, this is part 1. And here, let me show it to you then. So we're at part 1. Kids are going to learn how to this week use 3 sources instead of 2. Like last week, we only used 2 sources. They're going to use 3, and this time they're going to learn how to pick a topic. So last week, if you remember, the topic was picked for us. And so the topic sentence, the 3 keywords for the topic sentence were already chosen for us. It was monument, or Pentraethon, monument, unusual. So this week, that's going to be the focus, is really just learning how to scan through the sources and how to pick a topic, and then we're just writing 1 paragraph. So just a heads up, next week, wonderful Christy Nelson will be subbing, but next week is going to be part 2. So again, they're going to use 3 sources. They're going to need to write 2 paragraphs next week. So next week, they're going to be picking 2 topics. So we're really building each week to get us to the 5-paragraph essay. So just wanted to mention that I'm sure that y'all do anyways, but make sure that you keep these 3 body paragraphs that we're writing this week after I give them back to you, because we're going to pull them back up again on week 19 after the break, and we're going to add an introduction and a conclusion to them. So we're here on lesson 17, and again, we're going to be using 3 different source texts this week. I highlighted this because this is super important. Before you begin taking notes, you must determine what topics are available to write about. Scan the paragraphs in each source text, reading just enough of each paragraph to discern its topic. Write the topic of each paragraph in the margin. So we did this a little bit in class with our last 2 source texts about Pentraethon, but this lesson kind of takes it to another level. So first, what we do is, with our student does on their own, is just kind of scan through each paragraph and determine the topic of that paragraph. And so we did that. We went through. We thought that this was really just about Pompeii being a great city. This one was about Mount Vesuvius. This one here was about unearthing the artifacts, and this one was about tourism. So your student might have slightly different ideas about the topic, and that's okay. So we went through and did that with all 3 of our sources before we really did anything. So the next page is pretty helpful. The subject for this lesson is, of course we know that's Pompeii, and possible topics to include. So this is where the students will go back through and write down, the Vulcan Festival, Mount Vesuvius, unearthing, and tourist attractions, and then they can see side by side all 3 of the sources, and then they can go through and pick out 1 source that they want to write about. So that's the first part of all of this. And then next, I'm going to pull out my handy-dandy fused outline sheet that everybody thinks is so amazing. Just kidding, they're not. But I do. I used it again this week with all 3 of my kids, and I know we've got these extra squares here, but I don't know. It was helpful. I know there's a lot of different ideas on how to do this. And there's also, of course, here in the guidebook, there are perfectly fine outline spots and then a spot for the fused outline. For some kids, I think that this just, I don't know. It just seems to make more sense. But everybody's different. So anyways, once students have picked their topics, or their one topic, you notice here on this sheet that this entire sheet is all for one paragraph. And we've talked about many times in class that one paragraph equals only one topic. So right here is where we can, write down whatever the topic is. So let's say that the topic for this is Mount Vesuvius. So that will go here. And then we use the IEW skill that we've learned for coming up with our 3 keywords for our topic sentence. And we learned that the first word will be our subject. The second word will be the topic. So in this case, Mount Vesuvius. And then the third word will be just any word that has to do with the topic. So here I might write devastating. So if those are my 3 keywords, Pompeii, Mount Vesuvius, devastating, then here it's going to be the exact same. Pompeii, Mount Vesuvius, devastating. Pompeii, Mount Vesuvius, devastating. Pompeii, Mount Vesuvius, devastating. So each of these is color-coded based on the source text that was used. We like to write our source here at the bottom. So for this one, Pompeii Then and Now, we used green. And once we have determined that we're going to be writing about Mount Vesuvius, we come through with our green colored pencil and just underline or circle whatever we find interesting, important, or relevant, and then transfer those facts onto this portion of the KWO. And of course, we don't write clincher here because we're not actually using this yet until after we fuse it. So again, same topic, because we're just doing one paragraph this week. So we're going to do the same thing here. Once we have found the location of all the Mount Vesuvius information in this one, a trip back in time. Notice trip back in time. We're going to go through here and take our red colored pencil, underline all the things we find interesting, important, and relevant. Transfer all of those key facts here. And then lastly, if this paragraph contains information about Mount Vesuvius, or not this paragraph, if this source does indeed contain information about Mount Vesuvius, we are going to find it and use our blue colored pencil, underline it, and then fill that in here for this source, Pompeii. Okay? And then, just like we did last week, we are going to go through all of these facts. We're going to cross off things that are duplicated throughout here. We're going to decide which 5 through 7 facts we actually want to keep. We're going to put them in logical order. I know last week when my kids did it, we ended up with a lot of arrows coming down and lots of things crossed off and stars, and it got really messy, but it was helpful because then we ended up with our 5 to 7 facts that we want for this one topic. And just like every other time we go through, read it out loud. I know a lot of times I have let my kids do this part on their own. I'm talking about all the papers that we've done this year. They'll sit down on Tuesday and they'll go through and read and do their keyword outline, and they're like, okay, I'm done. And then the next day they sit down and pick up their keyword outline and go to write their paragraph, and they kind of have a difficult time. So I do suggest again that once they have fused the outline together, and to have them read the fused outline out loud to you in, using sentences, so in a paragraph format. And if they don't write that paragraph down, that's okay, but of course I think it's more beneficial if they can also just do the paragraph on the first day, the rough draft. But if not, at least that they are reading this back to you right after they complete it. So I think that's a really important skill that we don't want to wait until the next day to come back and try to figure out what we were thinking the day before. So anyways, so again, once we have our paragraph written, we need to be taking our checklist and including all of these things, all of the dress ups, all labeled in the margin of the paper of the paragraph. Both sentence openers. We're actually learning number 6 this week, and 6 is very simple and very short. It's the Vss Opener, so I'm not going to go through that right now with you. Just do this page with your student. It's a fun one and it's easy. So they're going to be adding that one to this paragraph and checking for banned words and then adding a vocabulary word. So, oh yes, and don't forget about the new vocabulary. The new vocabulary words are always on here on this checklist, so that's handy. And yeah, I think that's it. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you soon.